Every weekend, millions of Americans wake up at 6 a.m., put on sports clothes, and voluntarily run a race called a 5K or 10K, while throughout the week they still measure roads in miles, weight in pounds, and take pride that America does not need the metric system. None of them stop to ask, why is it 5K and not 3.1 miles? And why does that tiny letter K appear everywhere in their lives, from LinkedIn payrolls to living room TV screens to the number of followers on Instagram, while almost no one knows where it comes from? Welcome to Mysteries of Simple Things, the channel where everyday secrets are uncovered and explained. The answer leads back to a laboratory in Paris in 1793, where a genius was sentenced to death and a strange linguistic decision was made to avoid a vulgar word. But let's start with what you really want to know. Why not the letter T-1000 starts with T? So why don't we say a $50 T salary or 10 T followers? The answer is so simple it's funny. Think about it, T in physics is Tesla, the unit of magnetic field. T in finance is treasury bonds. T in the metric system is tera, meaning 1 trillion. T in time is the separator for hours and days according to international standards. If your boss posted a job offer of $50 T/year on LinkedIn, you wouldn't know if that was a dream salary or the national debt or a number from another planet. And KK does only one single thing, and it does it very well. But to understand why K was chosen, you need to know what happened in France more than 200 years ago, and it is a story much darker than you think. Before 1795, France had 800 different units of measurement. Not 800. In the Bordeaux region, people measured land area by the distance a human voice could carry, which meant a foggy morning and a sunny afternoon would yield two different results for the same piece of land. A unit of volume named pint in Paris was equal to 0.93 liters, but that same unit in the city of Saint-Denis, just a few miles away, was equal to 46 liters, of 57% difference. Every trip to the market was a gamble. Weight, area, volume all could change depending on where you were standing. This was fertile ground for commercial fraud, and the poor were always the losers. Then the French Revolution broke out. And in that chaos, a group of scientists was determined to create something that the whole world could use together, a measurement system based on nature, not based on the king's body or the echoes of hills. The leader of that group was Antoine Lavoisier, the father of modern chemistry, the man who named oxygen, the man who proved that water is H2O. And he was beheaded by the guillotine in 1794, just before the system he built was officially recognized. Not because he did anything wrong with science. He died because during the Reign of Terror, everything related to the intellectual class was suspected. The trial lasted less than a day. The mathematician Lagrange, a friend of Lavoisier, said a sentence that people remember to this day. It took only a moment to sever his head, but perhaps France will not produce another like it in 100 years. A year after Lavoisier's death, the metric system was officially announced. The word kilo, the symbol K that you use every day, is part of the legacy he left behind. But here's a strange thing that almost no one knows. The root word in Greek was not kilo. The ancient Greek word for 1,000 is kilioi, pronounced chilioi. From a purely logical standpoint, the correct prefix should have been chilo, and today you should be saying kilogram instead of kilogram, kilometer instead of kilometer. But when French scientists transcribed the Greek word into French in 1795, they realized a small problem. Kilo sounds very close to the word chier in French, a vulgar word that you don't want children mentioning in a classroom. So they changed H to K, a completely pragmatic linguistic hygiene decision. And that coincidence created the most powerful abbreviation in the digital world today. If the French back then hadn't been shy, perhaps now you would be flexing 10C followers on TikTok. From France, K spread to global science. From science, it entered Wall Street. At the beginning of the 20th century, when the American economy boomed and financial reports grew thicker, accountants in New York and Chicago began writing $25K instead of $25,000 to save space on the page. By the 1980s, when the 401K retirement plan became the norm, millions of Americans began saying max $401K, $23K this year, as a matter of course, without anyone asking where that K came from. Then computers arrived and everything became a bit more complicated. Do you remember the first time you bought a 1 terabyte hard drive, plugged it in, and the screen only displayed 931 GB. You weren't cheated, you were stuck between two definitions of K. Computers work in powers of 2. So 1 KB in a computer is actually 1024 bytes. Not exactly 1000. Hard drive manufacturers calculate by K equals sign 1000 to make the numbers look larger, while operating systems calculate by K equals sign 1024. The result is dozens of gigabytes evaporating every time you buy a new drive. In 1998, an international technical committee tried to fix this error by creating a new word, kibibyte. After more than 25 years, that word still only exists in technical textbooks. No one uses it. This is the clearest evidence that when the whole world has become accustomed to a symbol, no committee is powerful enough to change it. The 4K TV in your living room is also part of that story. 4K means the screen has about 4,000 pixels horizontally, exactly 3,840 pixels for home TVs, 4,096 pixels for cinemas. This term was created in 2002, and the K in it is the K of ancient Greece, passing through a Paris laboratory, through a severed head, through Wall Street, through Silicon Valley, then to your living room. A 2,500-year journey ending where you are watching Netflix tonight. And here is the most ironic thing in this entire story: the United States officially rejected the metric system in 1866. But every weekend morning when you run a 5K, every time you check your follower count, every time you say, "I make 80K," or sit in front of a 4K screen, you are using the symbol of the very system your ancestors voted to reject. You don't use the metric system, but you talk in K every day. Americans reject the units but keep the abbreviation, and perhaps that is the most pragmatic way to live with a legacy you don't want to admit. So, next time you see the letter K on a screen, whether it's salary followers or TV resolution, remember behind that tiny symbol is a revolution, a severed head, a vulgar word the French wanted to avoid, and a strange linguistic decision from more than 200 years ago. No K is simple. Every K you type carries with it an entire story that the world has almost forgotten.